But I moved to Florida and I started this amazing life. It was literally like I got a do-over in life. All right, you guys, this is a little story time. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Brandy Morgan. We talk about freelancing, working remote, basically doing all the things that you can do to really create the life you want. So this story is about how I packed up from Minneapolis, Minnesota and moved all the way down to Florida and why I did it. When I was in Minneapolis, I was working at a software development agency. They built basically mobile applications for tons of companies. They had clients like Target. Oh my gosh, that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. That's horrible. But anyways, they had several clients. It was a really fun work environment, and I grew a lot as a person working there. And it really opened my eyes to this world of technology that I had never been exposed to before that. So while I was working there, I became friends with the other people that were there, and there was this one guy in particular that kind of pushed me to start to learn to program. And I thought that was really, really cool because he could tell that either I wasn't pushing myself or that I needed to do something more with my life. And nobody else had really ever given me that option or really, kind of spoke positive things about me into my life. I don't know if that makes sense. But it was really nice to get those encouraging words that this person thought that I could do more with my life instead of answering phones.
Ring, ring. Hello? Hello, this is Dwight Schrute from the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company.
Being like, hey, thanks for calling MentorMate, because that's what I did when I was there. They hired me to be the executive assistant to the president. Anyways, that's not the story. But anyways, I was working there and I was feeling very bored, unfulfilled, not being challenged. And I really wanted to become a programmer because I thought that these developers that I worked with, they seemed to know everything. People would always go them with questions and they kind of just lived in their own world and nobody bothered them only if they needed a really hard question to be answered. So I'm like, okay, that's perfect. I don't like to be bothered all the time. So anyways, I started to teach myself to code, and while I was doing that, somebody else in my life mentioned Full Sail University. And this was fall. And so I decided to apply in January and I got in and I wrote this essay to get a scholarship. So I got a 50% off my tuition at Full Sail. So instead of paying 80 grand, yes, you guys, 80 grand, they cut it in half to 40, which is still a lot of money. So then I had to convince my parents that I should move to Florida to pursue this degree and this field that I had never expressed interest in before. In the process, so this is now January, I applied, I got in, and I know that I'm moving. And I get accepted to start, or I get to pick my start date. So I picked the end of summer, which is August, the end of August. I'm like, okay, that gives me enough time to work a ton of hours to save up money because I'm not gonna be working when I'm going to school. And working. Well, it turns out the company I was working at was actually about to sell. And in that merger, I didn't know if I was gonna still have a job. And so I decided to tell them ahead of time, hey guys, I'm leaving. And that was essentially my 2-week notice, which was in June or July. So then I had about a month and a half of being unemployed, which was actually really good because then I ended up moving out of my apartment. I moved in with these people from Craigslist, which was a nightmare, but maybe that's another story for another day. And then I sold basically all my belongings. I put some in my parents' house for storage, and I packed up everything that would fit into my Toyota Camry, and I drove to Florida, and I started my new life. And the point of me telling you this is that you are never either too old or too young to change your career and to reevaluate where your life is going. I was sitting there in Minneapolis hating what I was doing with my life. I was going out all the time. I was hanging out with probably the wrong people that just weren't motivated or driven, and I just felt inside of me that I could do something with my life, like actually, you know, help people and help myself, you know, like I don't know if that makes sense. I haven't been speaking it correctly, but I just felt that there was a greater purpose for my life than just punching in and doing the normal 9 to 5 and collecting a paycheck every other week. So I did something about it. Obviously I don't recommend going into a ton of debt to do it, but I mean, if you have to, I don't regret it. But I moved to Florida and I started this amazing life. It was literally like I got a do-over in life. And so many people that I talk to are always like, oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. And I'm like, do it. Like, all you need to do is set this goal and then break it out into more actionable chunks. If you're like me and you're wanting to learn to program, you're far better off now than I was in 2014. Now there's 10x the times of online schools for varying prices. You can even go to Lambda school, not pay anything out of pocket, and you'll go to the school, whatever you pick, and then you can get your salary deducted for like 2 years or something. Don't hold me to that word. It's something like that though. So I'm just saying, if you really, 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 really want to do something different with your life and you're scared and you don't know, I've been there, I've done that, and I would never change it. I am so happy I'm not that girl from 2014 that didn't like her job, was in a rut and feeling unfulfilled, and now I'm here in Florida where it's super beautiful weather. I may have a ton of debt, but I'm doing stuff that I actually love. I get to create content. I get to work from home. I get to work next to my husband who's over there all day. So if you want to do something with your life, figure out the things that you need to change. I feel like that's the end of my rant. So anyways, I hope you guys like that. I feel like that's another thing that I may have not shared with you. If you are feeling stuck or in a rut, or maybe you don't know what those next steps are, let me know in the comments and we can talk about it. I can help you plan out what you need to do, but it's up to you to actually make action on those items. So, I hope you guys like this. If you did, boop boop, please give it a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to my channel below. Bye, you guys.